Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the fifth episode of On the Glass. I am your host, Brandon Abels, and man, has it been a busy week in sports, and it's only Tuesday. There's been some Major League Baseball news. There's been some surprising NFL retirements, one surprising, one not so surprising. And then coming up this weekend, we got UFC 246. All of these things we're going to touch on in this episode of On the Glass, and we're going to get it kicked off by talking about the two NFL retirements. The news came out today. The first being the Chargers' Antonio Gates. Gates was an undrafted free agent that signed with the Chargers in 2003. He was a monster of a tight end during his time in the NFL. The man had 955 receptions for 11,841 yards in the NFL. Of those 11,000 yards, he had 116 touchdowns, and he was an 8-time Pro Bowler. The man had a heck of a career. It's not very surprising that Gates retired. He was kind of injury prone the last couple of seasons. He did not play this season with the Chargers. He's 39 years old. And tip of the cap to Antonio Gates. He was a heck of a tight end, a heck of a player. He was a lot of fun to watch. He was definitely a target for the Chargers and their offense, and he will be missed in the NFL. He kind of was one of the better tight ends for 5 or 6 years in the NFL. So hats off to Antonio Gates for a heck of a career. The surprising one that came out today was the Carolina Panthers' Luke Kuechly retiring today. He was a first-round pick, 9th overall in the 2013 NFL Draft. He was a defensive player for the Panthers, and he retired early. He retired real early, actually. The man is only 28 years old, what most consider to be the prime of their life, prime of their career, and he's going to go ahead and hang up the cleats and hang up the helmet and retire from the NFL. Kuechly had 1,092 tackles, 12 and a half sacks. He had 18 interceptions and 7 forced fumbles in his career, and he too was a 7-time Pro Bowler for the Panthers. Kuechly was a heck of a defensive player. The man could fly all over the field. It seemed like every time you looked up, Kuechly was making a play. He was very instrumental in the Carolina Panthers' run to the Super Bowl 50. He was a heck of a defensive player. I was always holding out hope and hoping and praying that someday the Jacksonville Jaguars would get him, simply because the Jaguars are known to be a defensive team, and I think Kuechly would have excelled, especially in 2017 with that defense, with Puzzlesny and Jack and all them guys. He would have been a phenomenal, phenomenal player. But Kuechly, surprising retirement news. He was quoted as saying, "When the time is right, you know it's right," and the time was right for him. So good for him. He's going out on his own terms. A lot of football players don't get that chance or that opportunity by going out on their own terms. So hats off to Kuechly. He's making the decision for himself, and the decision's not being made for him. So that's all you can hope for as a football player. So congratulations on two well-deserving, two awesome careers in Gates and Kuechly. Gates could be a Pro Football Hall of Famer. We'll have to wait and see on Kuechly, but he was also a very good football player. So it wouldn't surprise me to see both of these players in the Hall one day. But hats off to both of you guys, and thank you for all the years that you dedicated to the NFL and for other people's enjoyment and entertainment. Job well done. Go enjoy you guys' retirement. The big news so far this week is the news coming out of Major League Baseball with Houston and Boston regarding this stealing signs controversy. Houston was the first to get on this. Major League Baseball initially ruled that they were going to suspend both the GM and the manager for the Astros for a year. Then the owner of the Astros came out shortly thereafter and went ahead and fired both the GM and the manager of the Astros. And then today, Boston fired Alex Cora who was also on the staff in Houston in 2017 when supposedly all this took place. I watched First Take today. I've watched Pardon the Interruption today. I've watched all these national shows and had them weigh in on this controversy. Look, here's the deal. Stealing signs in baseball has been as much as part of the game as a fastball. It's something that has happened since the beginning of baseball. Baseball, football, basketball, whatever the case may be, players, coaches, always looking for an advantage, for an upper hand. How can they better prepare to beat the opposing team? That's all part of the game. Stealing signs, part of the game. It's no different than the NFL having guys on the sideline looking over to the opposite sideline trying to steal play calls. Okay? That's why the NFL coaches or football coaches in general, you will often see them covering their mouths with the play sheet and all that kind of thing so nobody can read their lips and get the play call. Like I said, stealing signs has been an instrumental part of baseball since the inception. Most of the time, it was the guy standing on second base, looking into the catcher, tipping off the batter of what pitch was coming. Now, things have changed. We're in the year 2020. Technology is a lot better than it was in the 1900s, in the 1800s, in the early 2000s, in the 90s. You get my point. The technology is a lot better. So apparently what Houston was doing is they had a camera set up in the outfield that was radioed in or phoned in to the dugout. The call would come in, and then the guys would bang on a trash can to tip batters off of what pitch was coming. Now, if this technology is not readily available to everyone, then I kind of have a problem with it. But then again, I kind of don't, because I admire the creativity of trying to gain a competitive advantage. And that's all this was. They were trying to gain a competitive advantage, and it worked for them because they won the 2017 World Series. Now, the man that was supposedly behind all this, that orchestrated the whole thing, was Cora in the Boston Red Sox. The timeline goes, Cora was hired as the bench manager or the bench coach for the Astros. Astros win the World Series 2017. Not long after that, the Boston Red Sox hire Cora. That following season in 2018, the Boston Red Sox also win the World Series. Begs the question, was the same thing going on in Boston as it was in Houston? Because it seems eerily similar. Look, I said, if you're just trying to gain a competitive advantage, more power to you. But it should be on the grounds that it's always been. It should be that guy at second base. It should be, if the pitcher tilts his glove a certain way, that's how you know the pitch is coming, like was documented in Mr. 3000, the Bernie Mac movie. Whatever the case may be. But to set up a camera in the outfield, to have that phoned in to the dugout and then bang on trash cans to signal the batter, that's kind of wrong, okay? I got to agree with that. Competitive advantage is one thing. Taking advantage of technology that was not readily available to everybody, or that not everybody had the idea, that's a whole nother. Baseball has all these unwritten rules, and I feel like one was broken here. The thing that I don't agree with is I saw a quote from Pete Rose saying that this was worse than him betting on baseball. Totally disagree, okay? Totally disagree. What Pete Rose done was wrong. His lifetime ban of Major League Baseball and him not being in the Hall of Fame warranted. I recognize that Pete Rose is one of the greatest hitters in the game. But what he did was wrong. what the Houston Astros, what the Boston Red Sox seemingly have done wrong. Should their World Series crown be stripped from the Astros, from the Red Sox? No, I do not believe that. I'm a Louisville fan. What we did with Katina Powell and the Hookers did not give us a competitive advantage, and we still lost the national championship banner. I've said it before on my Facebook post. I'll say it again. Baseball was better with steroids in the game. Attendance was up, viewership was up, because everybody was tuning in to watch these guys jack home runs. The difference in the steroid controversy and this controversy, steroids were readily available to anybody that wanted to try them. And I would say over 70% of major leaguers during that time frame were on steroids. As far as we know, the only two franchises that were doing this form of sign stealing was the Houston Astros and the Boston Red Sox. Now, is it fair to assume that Houston was on the up and up this year and was one of the best teams in baseball, got to the AL or the World Series and got beat by the Nationals? Sure. Team's got a lot of talent. They got it all, pitching and hitting. Could they have won without cheating? Maybe, maybe not. The Dodgers seemingly were a better team that year. I don't agree with people losing their jobs. The former manager now of the Astros claims that he knew nothing of this. But I question, how did you know nothing about this when there was guys beating on trash cans every game in your dugout? You didn't think to question that? All I'm saying is the Astros, the Red Sox, somebody had to take responsibility somewhere. I think the Red Sox tried to get out in front of this, so no suspensions were handed to the Red Sox. I think it's bogus that no players are being penalized for this, when I've heard reports saying that it was the players who orchestrated this whole thing. Major League Baseball has got to get their act together. It was once America's pastime. That is no longer the case. Majority of the season, majority of the cities that Major League Baseball is in, the stadiums are empty. Majority of the season. Yankees, Cubs notwithstanding. The team that I follow the closest is Tampa Bay Rays. Their attendance is so abysmal that they're talking about shipping half of their season to Montreal to try to make money. It's the state of Major League Baseball is terrible. The game is slow. There's no power hitting no more. Say what you want, people do not go to ballparks to see a pitcher's duel. They just don't. There's nothing exciting, nothing enticing about going to a ballpark in the dead of summer in most of these cities when it's 75, 85, 90 degrees outside, sitting there watching a 1-0 ball game. There's nothing exciting about that. Major League Baseball, this is yet another wake-up call. How are you going to respond? Because sooner or later, all these big money contracts, how are you going to pay those players when there's nobody in attendance, there's nobody watching on TV until it gets to playoff time, and especially the World Series, that's when everybody tunes into baseball. So eventually those big money TV contracts are going to run out. There's going to be nobody in the stadium. So what are you going to do to make money and to keep this sport alive? Major League Baseball is at a crossroads right now. What are they going to do? Time will tell. But with the Astros and Red Sox, I'm okay. Look, good for you. Congratulations on your World Series. I hope the guys that got fired find new employment, move on from it from there. And the last thing that we'll talk about tonight is UFC 246. We'll just kind of do a quick preview of this. There's two fights that I'm really concerned with on Saturday. This is coming to you live from Las Vegas. It's Conor McGregor returning to the octagon against Cowboy. And then the semi-main event's going to be Holly Holm against Raquel Pennington. Look, simple as this. I really like Holly Holm. She was the first one to beat Ronda Rousey. I don't know much about Raquel Pennington, so I'm taking Holly Holm in that fight. I love watching the girl fight. She's a great fighter. I really enjoy the way that she fights. She don't back down from anybody. So I'm taking Holly Holm in that fight. Holly, I hope you get another opportunity to fight for a championship soon, but take Holly Holm in that fight. Conor McGregor and Cowboy. Conor's last fight was in 2018 when he tapped out in the 4th round to Khabib. And then Conor is the betting favorite in this one, and I think it's just on name recognition alone. Conor McGregor, his last few fights, has not been the Conor McGregor that we first seen enter the UFC. I have not been impressed with McGregor the last couple times he stepped into the octagon. He don't seem like himself. The man is a head case, an absolute head case. He is always in the news for all the wrong reasons. And then when he starts running low on money, it seems like he comes back and gets another big money deal to fight in UFC. I don't know if Cowboy's going to win this fight, but I think it's going to be a lot closer of a fight than most people are giving it credit for. I'm not a McGregor lover by any stretch of the imagination, though when he did fight Floyd Mayweather, I was on Team McGregor because I dislike Floyd Mayweather more than I dislike Conor McGregor. And I'll admit that they got me for the money for the boxing match. I ordered it. I had guys over to my house. We watched it, and what can I say? I was duped into that one. Again, I don't think Cowboy has enough in the tank. He's getting advanced in years. McGregor's the younger fighter. Cowboy is the taller fighter, but McGregor is having a 1-inch reach advantage on this. Cowboy is the better technical fighter because he's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he can take it to the ground. He can stand up and trade with you, which is what McGregor wants to do. McGregor really has no ground game. So who you got in this fight? Hit the comment below and let me know. I think I'm going to be a heavy lean towards Cowboy, just simply because he is a plus 360 underdog in this fight, and I would like to see what will happen if Conor McGregor loses another big money fight in the UFC. Will Dana White continue going to that well? Will he not? Because let's face it, when McGregor is on the pay-per-view, it's going to drive up buys. So will he continue to have McGregor fight just on the premise of making money? Because the last few fights, McGregor has not been good. Hit that comment button below and let me know what you think about it. Like I said, I'm still studying this one a little bit, but I think in just my initial gut reaction, based on what I saw, especially against Khabib for McGregor, I'm going to take Cowboy, I think. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, I would like to remind you about my friends at Shady Rays. If you are in the market, spring is coming, folks. If you are in the market for a new pair of sunglasses, go to shadyrays.com. If you lose your pair of Shady Rays, if you break your pair of Shady Rays, if your dog eats your pair of Shady Rays, whatever the case may be, go to shadyrays.com. They have a free lifetime warranty. If you lose, break them, your dog eats them, whatever the case may be, contact Shady Rays. They will get you another pair on the way. All you got to do is pay for shipping. You can't beat that, folks. You can't beat it. Great quality sunglasses, perfect sunglasses, shadyrays.com. And that will do it for this episode of On the Glass, the 5th episode of On the Glass. If you would like to get in contact with me, it's ontheglass34@gmail.com. ontheglass34@gmail.com. Comment below. As always, be sure to like this video. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. It's that big red button right down there. We picked up some subscribers last time. I'd like to pick up more this time. Like, subscribe, comment. ontheglass34@gmail.com. We'll be back later this week to talk about the championship round in the NFL playoffs. We'll also kind of talk about the U of L and UK games coming up this weekend. U of L goes to Duke to play at Cameron Indoor this weekend. And Kentucky goes to South Carolina in Columbia to play the Gamecocks this weekend as well. So we might break those games down. But right now, NFL-centric, and if breaking news happens like this MLB stuff or the retirement of 2 great NFL players, we'll get on here and we'll talk about it. But for now, ontheglass34@gmail.com. This has been the 5th episode of On the Glass. I am your host, Brandon Abels, and we'll see you next time.